by the end of this video, you'll know how to create deeper peace and harmony within your relationships, even if you were raised in a family that believes in a certain religion or a certain belief that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, and you feel like you are the black sheep. By the end of this video, you will know how to be in deeper acceptance. I know for me, being raised Christian, and that's a belief system that I don't subscribe to anymore, but when I was growing up, this is what I believed to be true. It's all I was known. It was all it was given to me. I was told that this is the truth. This is the way. This is what you need to do in order to have salvation, in order to be free, in order to get to heaven someday in the future, which heaven is a state that we can exist in right now. But anyways, as I got older and I started to gain my own consciousness and awareness, I had a lot of questions that didn't fully add up. It didn't make sense. It didn't resonate. A lot of things didn't really make sense. You know, in dogmatic religion, we're told, like, oh, don't ask questions. Don't ask these questions. No. You can't ask these questions. You just guys do as you're told. Do as what God tells you to do. You know, don't think for yourself. Don't have your own thoughts. And as I got older and I started to really question this, it created a lot of friction between me and my dad, in particularly, who has passed now. Rest in peace. Love you, Pops. But we had a lot of resistance, a lot of friction. We started getting into a lot of arguments and confrontations and debates that would last for hours, where I'm feeling mentally and physically drained, where he's trying to prove his point, I'm trying to prove my point. Well, what about this? And he's like, what about this? And we're going back and forth. There's anger there, there's resentment, there's all these things in there. And I used to say all the time, Dad, why don't you just accept me for who I am? Why don't you just accept me for who I am? Why are you always trying to change me? And this is when I was in the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And I actually pushed Christianity away. I wanted nothing to do with its message. I wanted nothing to do with Jesus. It was wrong. I was right. And as I began through this journey, a few things dawned on me. And that if I wanted to experience peace and harmony and really embody what I was preaching, some things had to shift. And I used to say to my dad, you know, why don't you accept me for who I am? Why are you always judging me? Why are you trying to make me believe what you believe? Can't you just accept me for who I am? And then one day I realized that in and of itself is a judgment. That the very essence of me saying those words is, I don't accept you for who you are. And it hit me like a truck. It dawned on me that if I wanted acceptance, I first get to give it. And the moment I started to stop trying to prove my point, when I would talk about something interesting about life or whatever, and he would bring up God, and I could feel like the energy of like, ooh, like kind of like converty energy. In the past, I'd be like, why you gotta bring that up? Why can't you just enjoy? And I'd have resistance. And then what I started to do was that when I talk about something interesting and he'd bring up life, I'd talk about something interesting in life and he would bring up, oh yeah, see, isn't God amazing? Again, with that converty energy, instead of me trying to prove my point or explain why you gotta do that, I fully accepted it. And I was like, yeah, you know what, Dad? You're right. God is beautiful. God is amazing. While seeing what God was and is through my own lens, my own perspective of what that word means and what that is to me, without needing to try to project or put my belief or prove that my belief is right, without needing to object to where he's coming from. And understand too that he's coming from a place of love. You know, he has the belief system that if I don't believe what he does, I'm gonna burn for eternity in hell. That's a heavy belief system, and he deeply cares about his family and his kids. So no wonder he was always trying to get me to believe what he believed. He doesn't want to see me tricked by the devil and burned for eternity. That's scary. So when I could see where he was coming from. He just wanted what was best for me. I got to realize that I didn't have to change anything. I could just accept him for who he was. And then what was interesting, what was funny, was the moment I began to accept him where he was and what he was in, he began to accept me more. And we had so much healing in our relationship. We no longer tried to, every now and then little old layers would come up of like, oh, what about this? But the majority of it began to heal. Like the last year or two that he was alive, we were really healed. We didn't have those fights anymore, those debates. There was just an acceptance. And even if there was an energy of wanting to get into a fight, like if he didn't fully understand my spiritual beliefs, I didn't have to go there. I was like, you know what, Dad, I love you, and that it's not I don't have to prove my point. I don't need to prove anything. And then another thing also, so yeah, that's the first thing, is like come into deeper acceptance where they are at and try to see where they are coming from. The next thing that really began to be really powerful for me as I implemented this was honoring their journey, honoring their soul's curriculum, their spiritual curriculum, the lessons that they were meant to learn. This brought me so much peace. So much peace. Because I can see now through the lens of a higher spiritual reality, a higher self perspective, that everything is as it should be. Everyone's soul chose this human experience for the lessons they got to learn. And this was super supportive in my dad's sickness journey. He passed from cancer. Well, I believe he passed from the chemo, and the cancer initiated the chemo. But anyways, that's a whole nother discussion. I'm not going to get into the controversy of that statement. But, me being who I am, who's passionate about health and consciousness, and you are the creative reality, and embodiment, and breath work, and all these different things, and changing your belief systems, and how your mind affects your body, and how you're building new cells every moment, and you have the ability to change your health and affect your life. I had certain belief systems about how he could heal. I didn't believe that he had to die from cancer. And I noticed as he got diagnosed and he got sick and he got this thing, that a large part of me wanted to share everything I know, and Dad, just do this, trust me, it'll help you so much, just do this, you can heal. But he wouldn't listen, or he would listen, but he wouldn't apply it, or he wouldn't do it. And I got frustrated, and I got angry. As soon as I got to this place where I felt like I was, wow, I'm really letting go of control. Wow, life is really good when you let go of control. I'm in a good place. I'm not trying to control much. Life was like, are you sure? Here's another thing. Let's see how serious you are to letting go of control. So that was a deeper lesson I got to learn with my father, was that it's not my job to save anybody, and it's not your job to save anybody. And in fact, you can't. And the more you try to control, please, Dad, just do this, or you do this to a family, please, just do this, listen to me, it'll help you. The more it's controlling you, that energy of just do it. You're in this friction energy. And it was a huge practice in letting go of control and understanding that my dad's higher self, soul, chose this experience long before we were all even here. It was set into motion to learn the lessons that he was meant to. And whether you believe that's actually true, like the objective truth, or whether you think it's just a bunch of spiritual mumbo jumbo woo-woo, what matters is that it's true to you. And the thing about that mental framework, whether it's true or not, brings you peace. It brings you peace. Because you can start to see it through a higher lens. You start to see, wow, although I love my dad and I want him to be healthy and I want him to live, who am I to interfere with his soul's journey. Who am I to say that he needs to stop and not learn lessons that he's meant to learn in this lifetime? Who am I? And this is what you got to ask yourself. Some of you might think that, okay, that's a little out there, Jake. I don't know if his soul chose it before he was dead. It doesn't matter if it's objectively true or not. I believe it is. But what you do have to ask yourself, what is your mental framework giving you? Is your mental framework giving you suffering and misery and anxiousness and fear? Or is it giving you peace and happiness? And that mental framework brought me so much peace. Coming into deeper acceptance, letting go of control, honoring them on their journey, knowing they're coming from a place of love. These are all things that allowed me to experience deeper connection with my family and realize where these patterns come from. There's so many things that used to trigger me when I really got curious and stopped, and I get triggered and angry, and I'd start projecting out at my father. Since we're talking about him, use as a good example, there's so many trials and tribulations, right, we have with our parents and our family. They're so triggering for us because that's where so much of the growth is. And when I got triggered, when he said something small about, like, I don't know, do the dishes or whatever, and I got curious about what was really happening inside of me, was that I didn't feel heard. I didn't feel seen. And it was triggering a deeper wound within me from my childhood. That I wasn't loved, I didn't feel heard, I didn't feel seen. That anytime when I got in trouble as a kid, and I wanted to explain myself of why I did something, it was, be quiet, Jacob. Be quiet, otherwise it's going to be 2 spankings instead of 1. You're going to be grounded for 2 weeks instead of 1 week. Don't talk back. Do as you're told. Shut down, closed, not feeling heard, not feeling seen, not feeling safe to be fully me. Even when I honestly, as an innocent kid making a little mistake, and this isn't to judge my parents and say they did a bad job. I had a freaking phenomenal father. He showed up to all my sports games growing up. He wanted to play catch with me. He put family first, and I'll be forever grateful for that. And yet he's not perfect. And when I realize, Dad, the reason why I'm really getting upset right now in this moment is because I'm realizing it's triggering something much deeper. I notice I'm not feeling fully heard and seen. And it's coming from this past memory that I remember as a kid, never feeling fully heard and seen. And I had tears coming to my eyes in front of my father, in front of my dad. And what's funny? What usually would turn into this massive argument about the dishes or something random had actually nothing to do with the dishes at its core. And what I realized is when I shared my heart and what was really true for me and what was really coming in, and this is where self-awareness and tuning into what's true for us and why we're actually feeling what we're feeling. When I actually shared that with him, where it was coming from, you know what he did? It didn't blow up in this big argument. You know what happened? He actually teared up and he started to cry, which, me and my dad crying together was a very rare, that never happened. And this happened within the last year or 2 before he passed. This never really happened. But I saw this vulnerable side of him, and he come out and he tears up, he get all choked up and teared up. And he said, wow, you know what? Now that you say that, that's exactly how I felt with my mom. I never felt like I was heard and seen. I never felt like I could share my truth without getting shut down. Holy shit! It's not, now you realize that we're all just doing the best that we can. You might get these patterns and these behaviors from the people you love most, from your parents, from your family, and they're not even, it's not just you. And you realize that, where do they get their patterns from? From their parents. And then where do their parents get their patterns from? And this is generational trauma, generational wounds. And what you get to be, what we get to be, what I get to be right now is the one that breaks the chain, that ends the perpetuation of these patterns and traumas. And that's what's the beauty of it. When you start to heal yourself and own your shit, you do heal your family. You do heal those generations, because all that generational trauma lives in you, and you heal it. You heal your family, you heal the world. That's how when you heal yourself, you heal the world. But it takes you going first. And in that moment, he healed with me. He was like, wow, I realized I felt the same thing with my mom. And that gives you more compassion and understanding, more wisdom. So if you're having troubles and trials and tribulations with your family right now, or even just a loved one, get curious about what is really triggering you. What are the deeper wounds? Where is it really coming from? And can you speak it with love and compassion, not blame and reject and point your fingers? When you point your finger, realize you got 4 more fingers pointing back at yourself. They're pointing at me. Oh no! Now I got 8 fingers pointing at me. Because I got 2 for you, 8 at me. But as you start to get curious about all these things, you start to have so much more clarity and peace and understanding in your life. And your relationships begin to heal, and you let go. And these are things that spill into every area of your life. If you have issues in relationship, you probably have issues in money. If you have issues in money, you probably have issues in your health. Everything is connected. How you show up in one area of your life is how you show up in everything, in all areas of your life. And until you begin to make changes, an inch at an inch by inch, moment at a moment by moment, choice by choice, you begin to heal, become happier and happier, and you release blocks. These are deeper understandings and principles that allow you to let go of blocks that are within you, so that you can manifest your dream life. You can become a higher vibration, so you can live more in peace and joy right now, not someday outside of yourself. Be the fulfillment of what you want to be, what you want to manifest right now. Be that now. So I hope you got value out of today's video. Comment down below if you can resonate or anything that comes up for you in the share. And choose to be who you were meant to be. Choose love, choose compassion, choose peace right now. And I promise you, everything will get better. Until next time, see you guys in the next video. Peace.